Good afternoon and welcome to UBLUR-TV. I'm your host, Brad Harmon, and today my guest is Richard Rizk with RizkLaw.com. Richard, thank you for joining us on the program today.
Hi, Brad.
We appreciate you taking time to be here. Now, as one of Portland's leading truck accident attorneys, I'd like to talk with you about something that's really important. Recently, they've had changes to the trucking industry's regulations to make it more safer, to make it more safe. Why would they want to change those regulations and make it stricter for truck drivers?
You know, the damage that a commercial truck can cause is immense. The loss of life is immense. The number of motorists killed on the highways annually, about 5,000. It's a big problem, and I think the regulators see that if there's any way that that number can be reduced, they're going to do it. Recently, and right now we're in November 2013, more stringent federal regulations have been enacted with the goal of making trucks safer on the highways. And just recently reported by the Wall Street Journal that there's been significant resistance among truckers and trucking companies. These new regulations are basically the same as the old ones, except they're more stringent. For example, longer rest periods are required by truckers. More specificity in logbooks are required, and also more stringent alcohol and drug testing is required. And the complaints I've heard and reported by the Wall Street Journal are that truckers are people too. They just want to get home to their families and live a normal life. And sitting at a truck stop for 3 hours is not that much fun. But I think the reason why that these regulations are being enacted is because of really how many people are killed and the destruction that huge trucks can cause.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I've serviced the trucking industry for years, and I've seen firsthand that dueling priority between cost and speed and safety, and they seem to be almost dueling priorities that they're just trying to find that balance on, and so that they need those stricter regulations to help keep it in balance. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, the tug of war between safety and speed to get goods from point A to point B is never going to go away, because the industry is always looking to reduce its transportation costs, and generally speaking, the quicker you can get goods from one place to the other, the cheaper it's going to be, because the less you have to spend on hotels, and less you have to spend on brakes, because every moment the truck is not moving, it's money lost by the trucking company. On the other hand, generally speaking, safe trucking it takes more time. And because it takes more time, it necessarily cuts into profits of trucking companies, and cuts into the personal time of truckers themselves. So regulations are always going to change because of this tension. It's a moving target. Generally speaking, trucking is becoming a safer industry because technology is really coming up with some incredible devices, such as sensors. And there's trucks on sensors where the truckers can tell how close other vehicles are to them, for example. There's many other technological advances that are making trucking safer, but safer doesn't always mean cheaper. Most of the time it doesn't.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, one of the difficulties if you're involved in a truck accident or in an accident with a large truck is the insurance companies for the trucking companies want to settle quickly. Why is that, and why should we be wary of that if we were involved in an accident with the trucking company?
Well, settlements are final. That's why they use the word settle. there's nothing left of your claim once you settle. And the nature and extent of damages are not clear for a long time, especially when it comes to trucking accidents, because they do so much damage. When someone is subject to that sort of intense trauma that truck accidents usually cause, you don't want to settle quickly. On the other hand, when I used to work for large insurance company, Nationwide Insurance, one of the most senior people I knew in the company had made an astute observation, and that's claims don't get cheaper with age. And that's true from an insurance company's perspective. That's why insurance companies want to get in there, do a quick investigation, lock the injured person into their story so they cannot expand on it, and then cut a check as soon as they can before damages get too big.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, what should we do if we've been hurt or someone we care about has been hurt in an accident with a big truck? What should we do?
Trucking insurance is more complicated than normal auto insurance, but it's based on the same principles. There are sometimes multiple layers of coverage for trucking trucks because the potential of so much damage, and part of it is notifying the insurance companies of the loss as soon as possible, and at the same time conducting your own investigation so that the injured person does not have to rely on what the investigators for the insurance company are stating. Initial steps would be to get in contact with the people who were on the scene, such as fire and police. They usually do very thorough reports on truck accidents, but most of the time some additional investigation needs to be done to discover the root cause. And some of that is found in trucking logs. Some of that is found in results of drug and alcohol tests. To really find the ultimate cause of a truck accident, almost always some digging has to be done more than what the insurance company is doing. And it should be done as soon as possible. Because
so is that something that you do at Rizk Law?
Yeah.
You help people with that investigation?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So if someone's been involved in a truck accident and they feel that they need your help, what's the easiest way for them to get started?
Well, my phone number is there on the screen. It's 503-245-5677, and the email is another good way to contact me. It's rich@rizklaw.com. That's RICH@RIZKLAW.com.
Thank you, Mr. Rizk, for all the expertise that you shared with us today. We very much appreciate you joining us on the program and giving us your wise counsel. If you've been injured in a truck accident and you need help, you can get help from Rich at 503-245-5677. Thank you for tuning in to UBIUR TV, and I hope we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Brad.